TJ was an asshole.
TJ Watt?
No, Jefferson.
Clip goal. There it is. Welcome back, everybody. I'm still learning how to do this, apparently. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hello to everybody down there where it's sweltering hot, and it looks like that hurricane's going to go south of them, so that's good. Also, very pleased to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show comes to you from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. Cheers to everyone, and cheers, of course, on a very safe and happy 4th of July. Hopefully you get time to be off work a day and do the things that make you happy and all that stuff. And at the same time, shovel down some hot dogs, hamburgers, ribs, whatever else, while you take a moment to remember the founding of our great nation. Anyway, you're not here for political lessons. You are here for Steelers talk, and we will do that even though it is freaking July 2nd. There is still stuff to talk about, believe it or not. Ben's here, Ian's here, Scarps is here, and we are all ready to go. First question, since Ben was on first. Ben, what are your plans for the 4th of July?
Drinking, live music, sun. That about encapsulates it right there.
I that's perfect. Perfect. Scarps, what are you doing for the 4th of July?
Yeah, same. Drinking, grilling out.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. All right. Very
Simple.
good. And Ian, what are you doing to celebrate Independence Day?
Independence Day will also be the 4-year anniversary of when I delivered a baby in a bathtub.
That's right.
So
Thankfully, that was not during a show.
No,
I think we should get Silica on the show and find out who really delivered the baby.
Yeah, who did the
Like,
work?
who actually did the work in that scenario that Ian's taking credit for?
She did the work. I caught the baby. Catching the baby is what's called yes. Okay.
And
You
that
caught
is an
the
important
baby.
part.
It's great. Good for you,
it is
man.
it is a
Yes.
very important factor in the entire process. There's no doubt about it.
I have never denied the fact that was the all-star and did all of the work. And yes, I just caught the baby. But at any rate, yes,
He's a 6-time All-Star.
Yeah,
6-time All-Pro.
Only once did we have an accidental home birth, though. So, so Maggie will turn 4 on the 4th of July. So it'll be 4 years since we had a footling breech baby born in our bathtub.
All right.
Which is terrifying, and I never want to do that again.
Well,
but I will also be drinking and grilling and doing all that fun stuff
for
too.
you.
But
Good
yes.
for you.
And having birthday cake.
Boy, that's nice. You know, I got the double holiday too. Not only is it Independence Day, it'll be my 26th wedding anniversary.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. Got married on the 4th to celebrate the loss of my independence. So, it all seemed to work out. Yeah. Thank you. Rim shot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, welcome in,
later.
everybody.
He still can't believe that she was dumb enough to marry him. But hey.
Well, actually, she's the one that can't believe she was dumb enough to marry me. But, to your point. Anyway, a couple things to touch on tonight. I know Vinny wants to talk about sacks and pressure, and we're going to do that. And we will talk a little bit about the AFC North tonight, just kind of go position by position, because there's a lot of chatter that, oh, boy, the Steelers are really improved. Well, how improved are they compared to the rest of the division? So we'll take a look at that, some things or some comments on some other things as well. But again, thanks everybody that's joining us live tonight on this July Tuesday, and hopefully we can give you a little break and amusement from your everyday. So Cam Heyward started all this today. I think it was today, wasn't it? That he tweeted out talking about the significance of pressures on the quarterback and sacking the quarterback. And it seemed to get some people talking a little bit here. So Ben, you kind of like grabbed onto this right away. What is Cam getting at here? I cannot hear you. Did you mute yourself?
I did.
Damn it all.
I did.
Right.
I did. I think I was belching, and that's, impolite to belch over the host while he's speaking.
Thank you. The host
Drinking
appreciates that.
beer, and that happens. Condensed version.
Yeah.
Basically what Cam is saying is, look, people try and view pressures in a bubble by themselves. Or they'll even combine pressures and sacks and view that bubble, and it doesn't tell the whole story, because when you have a guy who's converting more of those pressures into actual sacks, that actually scares the quarterback. That actually makes the quarterback nervous. When the guy hits the quarterback, when the guy sacks the quarterback, not just when he gets a hand in his face and makes him throw the ball early. And my point was that if he is pressured, as we saw Ben pressured numerous times, right? I mean, hundreds, thousands, that dude would still make a play. When you do that, all it does is serve to bolster your confidence for the next snap. Even if they are coming at you, it doesn't matter. You're expecting it now. You know you can get through it. You're not freaking out anymore. And the point that was being made, I think it was by Trey Wingo, that pressures are a more accurate metric and blah, blah, blah. They cause turnovers. They can cause turnovers. So can a sack cause a turnover? But actually completing the play, capitalizing on those opportunities at a higher rate, turning more of your pressures into sacks and tackles for loss is, in my view, more impactful than a pressure, simply a pressure by itself. Now, I will argue that a quarterback hit is impactful. That's the kind of pressure you want, because you want that guy to remember that on the next snap.
Let me ask Ian. I'm going to ask you this question,
Yes.
because you know all this, and probably quicker than the rest of us. Let's put it that way. Who would be a great example of a Steelers linebacker or pass rusher, if you will, of the past, who would sit here and argue, well, wait a minute, pressures are just as important, or something along that line? I think you know where I'm going.
The example that comes to mind quickly is Bud Dupree. That Bud would get around the edge and force the quarterback to step up and get off his spot, but wasn't able to completely turn the corner and finish the sack. Whereas TJ is an elite finisher, and this whole debate really boils down to process versus results, right? That the people who harp on pressures, which pressures is like the key PFF statistic, and I know everyone on the show and everyone in the chat pretty much feels the same way about PFF, so we won't go down that road.
Right.
But they make the same case that Trey Wingo made, and Trey started this by quote tweeting something that Max Crosby was saying to like a group of kids or something like that. So this thing has many strands. But the way Cam ended it is correct, that sacks are more important than pressures, which are more important than no pressure at all. No pressure at all is the worst. Right. Pressure forces the quarterback off his spot. Pressure could force a bad throw, could force an interception, could cause a fumble, something like that. But it doesn't guarantee that, right? We saw last year, TJ Watt made a great rush, got a great pressure on Geno Smith. Geno had to scramble out of the pocket and threw a 33-yard pass to DK Metcalf down the field. TJ Watt got a pressure on that play. Thank goodness he didn't finish that play and get a sack, or else, it would have been, I don't remember what the down and distance was, but they would have been 40 yards back instead of 33 yards farther down the field.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing is when you talk about sacks, it's about finishing and about good results, versus pressures are about good process. Good things can happen from pressures, but a sack is a guaranteed
one.
good thing.
Now, Scarps, were you with the Steelers organization at a time when a Mr. Jarvis Jones was there?
Bless his heart. Nicest, one of the nicest young men I've ever met. They thought they were getting a player that showed really well on tape in a really good conference. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
And the reason, obviously, I bring him up because, much like Bud Dupree, who later, I think, worked at his trade, got better to get to the quarterback. Jarvis Jones he was a pressure guy. He was never going to be a sack guy. And that's not good enough, is it?
He didn't even get that much pressure.
Well, and that's true. That's true. But at best, that's what he was.
One of the knocks on Jarvis was that he was too nice. And I mean, the comparison was made at the time to Greg Lloyd. And they were saying, we're not asking you to be Greg Lloyd, but we want you to be a little more aggressive, a little more assertive.
Mm-hmm.
And they just they could never motivate him to be that guy.
So, yeah. I got a variety of things I want to say.
Please do. This is your avenue to do that.
This might not be in order, but first of all, I think here's a guy. I think Steelers fans got a little salty about this because they automatically associate it with Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt.
Absolutely.
And it is the gift that keeps on giving the whole year because it's just constant. And neither guy has ever said they're better than the other.
Nope.
And they both play different positions and they're both dominant. So I think the context matters. I think that the position you play matters. I think that the scheme matters. I think that if you're an edge rusher and you're free and you don't have to put your hand on the ground, I think it matters. So all of this started today and people were like, ooh, sacks are way more important than pressures. Blah, blah, blah. But if you actually look at the numbers, pressures usually equal sacks. Like I'm looking at since 2018, Pro Football Reference, since 2018, this is when the stats started for pressures. And TJ Watt leads the league in pressures. And he leads the league in sacks too.
What do you know? Yeah.
Myles Garrett is second in sacks and fourth in pressures. And then this all started because of Max Crosby. He didn't even play in 2018. He was a rookie in 2019. He's fifth in pressures and tied for 12th in sacks. And if he had another year in sacks, if he had 10 more sacks, he would be in the top 5. So and then look, okay, let's talk about our favorite favorite social media guy, Cam Heyward himself. Cam Heyward since 2018 is 24th in pressures and let me read the fine print. He's 24th in sacks. Holy shit. Imagine that. So again, this all stems from the hate of Pro Football Focus and the hate against Myles Garrett. But literally, when you get to the court, when you pressure the quarterback, good things usually happen. And unless it's Patrick Mahomes who finds a way to make an amazing throw, or Josh Allen, or maybe a couple other guys.
Josh Allen is a lot more prone to throwing picks. I think you should pressure Josh Allen.
But it's just I'm not saying that pressures are more important than sacks. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm not going to discredit pressures because literally
no, you shouldn't. They do matter.
They're
just not as important as sacks.
The way Cam put it in that last tweet was perfect. And
yes,
Ian alluded to it.
Yes.
Sacks, pressures.
My point is that you can't you can't throw pressures out the window because
definitely
there's a correlation. It is literally it's right there. Just look at it. So
yes, what you can throw out the window, I'm sorry, is pass rush win rate. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a garbage fucking made up stat. Pressures actually matter. And what I was getting at to begin with is this. We're going to do some math here, kids, and I hope that everybody's paying attention at home. Write this down if you need to. If you take total pressures plus total sacks and you divide the total sacks into that number, that's your success rate. I had this many pressures and sacks. And obviously there was a pressure before I made that sack, but I converted that one into a sack. So that's your sack success rate. TJ Watts is higher than everybody else's. And people want to say, well, he just gets lots of cleanup sacks. No, he keeps fucking working. And you're penalizing him for that because the dude keeps working. He never gives up on a play. Crosby does the same thing, but nobody criticizes him for it. I don't get it.
Well, this cleanup sack, fuck, a sack is a sack.
I agree with you.
I mean, and again, I don't mean to say anything good about a Cleveland Brown here, but I mean, Myles Garrett gets cleanup sacks too because he keeps hustling.
Hey, Myles Garrett is a great player.
Yes,
we can all agree on this.
I mean, it's just so stupid.
Not good. He's a great player. So is TJ.
Vinny came in hot tonight.
That's a Bobcat education.
You know what, Vinny?
I appreciate you, Vinny.
As you pointed out, Vinny, cornerbacks really should get credit for the balls that they tip and wide receivers catch anyway, because that's an almost win, right? Even if it is a 40-yard bomb they gave up.
Well, you know what? Let's discuss that.
Well, actually, can I go on a slight tangent from this?
Please.
Sacks pressure
too. Yes.
Because Mark's was about to say something dumb anyway. It's fine.
More than likely. Fuck you, Ben.
So all right. So there was another tweet that was put out there today. And probably not that many people saw it, but I want to reference it. The guy's name was Carter Donick, but he put together charting of attempts from last year. So where I'm going from this is from the pass rusher side to the quarterback side of which quarterbacks were the best when they had to move their feet or get off their spot. And actually Dak Prescott was the best, and he tallied numbers for any quarterback that had at least 28 attempts. So there were 34 quarterbacks that qualified last year.
Okay.
Russell Wilson was 8th. So he was basically the 8th best quarterback when he had to move his feet away from his spot. Does anyone want to take a guess where Kenneth Shane Pickett, who ran from adversity and also couldn't throw on the run, landed on this list?
Dude, he dominated.
You're just box score.
Scarps was talking about it earlier.
You're just box score watching, and I'm never gonna judge a quarterback based on the box score. I watched the tape.
So let the cat out of the bag here.
Scarps is being sarcastic for the folks that are listening at home.
34 possible
33rd.
Shane Pickett came in 33rd.
He was the 33rd.
Mac Jones. I didn't see that. I didn't see this. Was Mac Jones the worst?
No, Will Levis.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Will Levis, who outshined Kenny Pickett the Thursday night football.
Zach Wilson outshone Kenny. Zach fucking Wilson.
The MILF Hunter.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah. So the point is, when we're talking about pressures on the defensive side, some quarterbacks are better than others, like we said, at getting away from it.
Absolutely.
And, to segue the show a little bit, having Russell Wilson, who's a lot better on the run when he has to get away from pressure than Kenny Pickett, who would run into pressure.
Right.
You're right. That is his game. But, I think how much does that improve the offense this year?
I was surprised Kenny had that many attempts. It was 71 attempts where he moved off a spot. I was surprised it was that high. I'll be honest with you. He didn't have the most. It wasn't even close. Like Prescott had 100, for example.
Yeah, right. Right.
And there were guys that were over 100. But I was surprised that Pickett had 71 attempts where he was, on the run or on the move anyway.
Remember, though, when Canada was the offensive coordinator on 2nd and long, they loved to run that play action boot to the right with the 3 crossers, and Pickett would either get pressured and take a sack or throw it away or run out of bounds for 1 yard. Those were
that was a
options.
Great play. He
never
fantastic.
completed that play.
The great part about it is
why the fuck are we running this shit again?
They use it every week.
Yes.
It was
multiple times.
Right.
It was like the old 2-yard bubble screen we used to run.
Oh, yeah.
With Mr.
So you know what? I'm not having the best week, and I don't really care anymore.
It's only Tuesday, Scarps.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, it's been a long one.
Are you working Friday?
No, I'm off.
Good for you.
Fucker.
I like.
I am.
Our founding fathers.
So yeah, what's the point? Jonas shit his diaper and you had to go change it, or what?
Don't jinx me. Here's the point about Kenny Pickett. Give me a good fucking stat about the guy, and don't give me that game-winning drive bullshit where the defense fucking held the opponents to 10 points, and they were like, "Kenny, please make one fucking play for the love of God."
Hey, you know what?
Because you know who
Kenny
has
Pickett's Kenny Pickett's fucking success rate as a game-winning drive guy, as a fourth quarter guy, would never have been possible if he hadn't played so shitty for 45 minutes before that. Because this is the point I make to people over and over again.
Because you know who has just as many game-winning drives over the past 2 years that is washed and all about himself? Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And would you rather have Russell Wilson right now or Kenny Pickett? And if you say Kenny Pickett, you paid $120,000 to go to the University of Pittsburgh, and bless your heart, I'm a Pitt fan. And I'm going to tell you, if there's any Pitt fans watching that give me shit, if you don't know who Scotty Reynolds or Tony Pike is,
Oh my God,
you're not allowed to talk. Okay. And you guys might not know who he is, but
I know
Tony
both
Pike
of those.
is.
Yes.
but we see all these Kenny Pickett stats, and we're like, we laugh about it because that's how bad he was.
Yes.
Yes, Vinny, that was great.
He knows what's up. I just like we see these like Warren Sharp's another guy who throws out these these numbers, and I always appreciate looking at some data, and it's always
Warren is a dude who crunches numbers, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and then you sit there thinking and anytime you see a quarterback number for the Steelers over the past couple years and it's not terrible, it's like middle of the pack, you're like, holy fuck, I didn't know we did that good. we're like 17th and something, and we're like, wow, we really did good, guys. Like,
yeah. Well, the question I was going to ask shortly,
Ian, thank you for the tangent.
Yeah, tangent. That's fine. No, and Vinny kind of alluded to this. He talks about these almost made a play stats being annoying. Is there a stat that you wish the NFL actually kept track of, though?
Pancake blocks.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, something that at the end of the year you could look and you could say, okay, this makes sense because A, B, C. You mentioned, Ben, the defensive back tipping a ball, but the receiver ends up catching. I mean, is there something you guys? I know I'm throwing this at you on the spot, but I was just kind of spitballing it in my mind of those types of things.
I would give a DB credit if he tipped the ball and the receiver caught it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to give him accolades for it. I'm going to be like, hey, you know what, dude? That was a good rep. You busted your ass. You almost got it done. But the offense gained 40 yards. And what really counts here is the result. Sorry. And the DB would be the first person to agree with me. Where PFF
I'm
would
sure.
be like, oh, yeah, that's a good rep. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Because the result was the opposition gained 40 yards. That's not a good outcome. And the outcome is what counts.
Right. We don't congratulate a batter who goes up and takes 3 really nice cuts but doesn't touch the ball any of those 3 times.
Or lines out.
Right. Yeah.
He can hit the ball with great velocity every single time, but he lines out, 4 times a game. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
How does that help?
Or he hit the ball, 400 feet, but it was foul.
Yes,
right.
That's another good. Nobody remembers those babies.
Yeah, I hit the ball out of the stadium, but it went right to first base. It didn't make it past first base.
Oh, it was so close. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll think of something later. I thought maybe you guys might have had.
That's a good question. Pancake blocks is a good one.
Pancake blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish.
I wish. And this is a stat that's kept, but it's not easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
I wish penalty statistics were easier to find.
They do make it a little difficult, don't
They're
they?
making
really
it
hard.
better now. It's gotten way better. You know this.
Yeah, and it's the
You just
thing
got to
I
be
was,
willing to dig is the problem.
yeah, you gotta dig through some weird websites with a lot of ads on them sometimes.
Oh my God, yes.
And a lot of them only have accepted penalties. Like, what I really want is, like, how many holding penalties was this offensive lineman called for, regardless of whether or not they were accepted? Because sometimes if it's a third down and an incomplete pass, you're not going to accept the penalty, but the guy still got called for it, right?
And this is going to continue to be a thing, and everybody should just prepare themselves for it, because his playing style is going to net this. But Joey Porter Jr. is going to continue to be penalized at a pretty high rate. And he was very highly penalized as a rookie, but he also had 3 penalties that were not accepted on top of that.
Yeah.
And, you look at that and it matters. That's all I'm going to say about it. By the same token, I will just say, if he yields the same kind of results where he gives up as few receptions as he gave up this year as a corner, I'll go ahead and I'll live with the fucking penalties.
Yeah. I think
I'll just live with them.
I think we went into the JPJ on draft day knowing that. I think we all said this is what you get, but this is also what you get. And I think we're all willing to live with that. Scarps?
Did we say, I don't know, did somebody say this? I was having I was having technical difficulties. I think that and I'm not going to take credit for this because I think many people have said it, but interceptions for wide receivers, like
I know what you mean.
So what a wide receiver,
right through his mitt.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
The Deontay Johnson statistic.
Well,
It would have to be a catchable ball.
Yeah,
hit him in both hands and was picked off. No, I think that'd be a good one. I do
too.
I was just thinking along the lines of trying to give the offensive line a little love, because those guys, they are the most penalized players in the league.
Yep.
Far more than the defensive line. The defensive linemen get away with so much shit. Oh my God.
And then the other one that I would say, and I'll fight for this, but I could probably be persuaded. I think that I think net punting is skewed to a certain extent, because if obviously if a guy has a return, how's that the fucking punter's fault? Like,
it's not.
I understand he has a job
to it. It's a team. It's a team.
But it's
thing.
a team. It's a team thing. So like,
right.
The Steelers. I'm pretty sure who was. I think it was Jordan Berry in like 2015 or 16 set the Steelers single season record for net punting, and I think it was like 39.6 yards or something. And I remember being like, this can't be right.
We suck that bad?
But so like I'm gonna look this up after we talk about this. But I remember like going up to him and be like, dude, you realize you fucking set the record for like net punting in a season? And he's like, hey, get out, mate. Like chuck a wobbly, Like it was like, Jordan Berry. Jordan Berry was wonderful. But then like you go back and look, and like I think Josh Miller was the guy that held the record.
He would have been my guess, but
it was like 39.2. And I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, you average 45, 46 yards a kick, but your net is only 38.
How much spit did Bill Cowher put on Josh Miller
God.
When he played?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember him
Josh
walking
Miller
off the field and Cowher screaming, "What the fuck was that?"
God, I have heard Bill Cowher was such a dickhead, and like I believe it, but you know what? They won. They won games. They suck sometimes too. But
his players fucking loved him too, though.
Yeah,
they all did.
Yeah.
Even Kevin Green, who left and he was a little bitter. He was never mad at Bill. He was like, "No, Bill Cowher tells you he's one of your guys. You're one of his guys. He wants you to retire a Steeler. I think that means something, and they
Oh,
still
yeah,
just
it
let me
does.
walk. I'm like, okay.
That net punting thing, I have to believe NFL teams look at it exactly what you guys were talking about. That's not an individual stat. They look at that and say, no, they look at that and say, okay, here's a guy, that did this, but my God, his coverage team sucked. Look at the missed tackles.
I mean, that's part of it, but it's also design. I mean, a guy like a Danny
definitely.
Smith is really, really, really fucking important.
Yeah.
Because of the field position that dude influences. So that special teams to me is where coaching matters the fucking most. Because you got a whole bunch of guys who aren't top tier NFL athletes that are out there running something. I mean, and some of them are really good at it. We got a guy who is on our team. But by and large, they're just a bunch of guys. They're a bunch of extra guys that got added to the roster for special teams that are trying to go out there and make something happen. And you got a guy who's got to try and coach them up and make something fucking happen.
All right.
And it's underappreciated. Go on, Scars.
Yeah. A couple quick points. So the net punting thing. So it's actually funny. Presley Harvin has the single season record 2022 with 41.1.
No,
but
shit.
In 2016, Jordan Berry set it 40.2, and he broke Bobby Walden's record.
Wow.
Josh Miller is here, but
I would have thought it would have been like Ron Stark or somebody.
Well, no. So
remember, net putting though, you take into account the return yards. Like I know Josh Miller had the overall average punting record. I think he still has it, doesn't he? The longest punting average in a season, but Josh Miller still has. But net punting, the coverage units were shit.
Yeah. The reason I said Josh Miller is because he did it with 80 or more punts, and nobody reached that milestone. Second, the final thing I want to say about pressures and sacks, and so one of the most frustrating parts of my career, and I'm blessed to say this, but was we always had to put out the weekly release following the game for the next game.
Yep.
And the one thing we always had to wait on was defensive statistics. So offensive statistics, you went by the game book. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have to wait for Randy Fiechner or James Daniel or Scotty Montgomery, any of these dudes. You just went out the game book. But you had to wait for John Mitchell, Keith Butler, and then Ray Horton at the time, defensive back coach. And sometimes LeBeau would weigh in, but you couldn't go from the game book because it was subjective, and we would wait from the coaches, and literally, it would be got to send out the fucking release. It's 7:00. I still don't have defensive line statistics. And I'd see Mitch. I'd be like, Mitch, Coach Mitch, what's up, man? He goes, okay, Ryan. He goes, I know I got to get the stats, So he'd come over and hand it to me. And the fucking game book would say pressures for a certain player 1. He'd have him down for 4. And I remember being like, I'm not going to question Coach John Mitchell, let alone ask this player. But it got to a point where it was about timing for information, but then it was about accuracy.
Sure.
So what we started doing was we just started going by the official game book, and the NFL reviews those game books. The official stats crew reviews those game books.
Right.
So I know people bitch about, well, yeah, TJ Watt got screwed out of the sack record in Baltimore. There's a process that they go through now, but so getting back to the whole pressures thing, if it was still up to the coaches, I guarantee you TJ Watt would have 100 more pressures than now.
Like Ray Lewis.
Well, before we talk AFC North, I do want
to
I do want to comment on Ian's hot take that Ray Lewis was the best third man to the ball tackler in history. I would counter that with Junior Seau. I always thought he was the same way. He
Yeah.
always seemed to be about the third guy there.
I'll
would
give you guys
always get
another
credited
one,
with a tackle.
and you're not gonna love it. Joe Green,
Ooh.
Mean Joe Green got credited with a lot of tackles that his teammates
where he
made
kind of was the cleanup guy.
because he was Joe Green and he hit the guy, but the guy wearing the yellow shoes had already gotten there and had the guy down.
It is a good point. It is a good point.
Just saying.
Yeah. Let's shift gears. We're going to talk a little AFC North here. Look, guys, the training camp is a couple weeks out yet. Everybody has roughly 90 guys on their team. So we don't really know the exact rosters yet, but we got a pretty good idea in most cases. As you look across this division, and we'll start at the quarterback position, how would you rank, Ian? How would you rank the quarterbacks in the AFC North right now?
I would rank Joe Burrow first if he's healthy, assuming everyone's healthy. Burrow first, probably Lamar, regular season Lamar second, but postseason Lamar is like fourth. Russell Wilson third. Deshaun Watson has not been that good since that one really damn good year he had in Houston. He has not been that good. I think last year kind of proved that the Browns have a as much as I hate to say it, a really good supporting cast, because I mean they lost Watson and Nick Chubb and still, put together a team that went to the playoffs. I think that speaks to the quality of their line play on both sides of the ball and the supporting cast they have around, the two main skill players on offense, the quarterback and running back. So I would, assuming fully healthy, I would go Burrow, Jackson, Wilson, Watson.
Scarpino.
Yeah, for Deshaun Watson, it's almost like not playing for like 2 years impacts your ability to, so why the fucking, why Jimmy Haslam, there are just people that shouldn't own sports teams, and they're really involved in two of them are former minority owners of the Steelers, Jimmy Haslam and David Tepper. But the point is,
David Tepper is the worst owner in sports.
The point, they were very nice.
Who was that guy who owned the fucking the Clippers? Donald
Sterling.
Yeah,
Jesus, man. I mean, he's not that bad, but he's really fucking bad.
He's not good.
There's a show out, and Al Bundy plays Donald. Sterling.
Plays Sterling, unclipped.
There it is. So
who's your top?
So getting
four
back
now?
to, I would disagree. I would go Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and then I'm going to put Wilson and Watson tied for third. I
get it. I get it.
Hold on, real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know people shit on Lamar Jackson. He didn't have a bad postseason last year. Zay Flowers fumbled at the goal line, which would have put them close. So I said earlier about wide receiver interceptions. The Ravens' flaw was that they tried to prove that Lamar could throw the ball on the Chiefs, and they should have just ran the fucking ball the whole time, and they would have won, and we would have avoided a third championship for Patrick Mahomes and that bullshit logo at Texas Tech Memorial Field or whatever the hell it is.
What the hell is that shit?
Anyway, sorry. Thanks, Ben. I'm talking a lot.
So
whatever.
My thoughts on this, and I agree with Ian. I think if Joe Burrow's healthy, I think he's the best quarterback. I don't know what you guys are hearing, but I heard there's some concerns with him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm going.
Latest injury,
he's not the best.
Well, but this latest injury that he's dealing with is not exactly coming along perfectly. No. It's taking more time than they thought. And, in Watson, as far as Watson, I agree. I haven't seen anything out of him for 2 years that makes me think he would beat out Russell Wilson right now. But I can see why Scarps would say, hey, kind of dead heat there in last. So I get that. So I'm going to give the overall advantage here. We'll kind of call it a draw between Cincinnati and Baltimore there for the QB spot. Ben, what do you think about the running back?
Wait, I didn't get to talk about the quarterbacks?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did.
No, I wrote about it, but I didn't.
He wrote it.
Oh, I'm all right. Very good. Do your quarterback.
I'm hearing the same thing about Burrow, and that's why I'm not going to predict that he's the best quarterback in the division. And
Yeah.
Lamar is the reigning NFL MVP.
That's also true.
So he is, by definition, the best quarterback in the AFC, probably maybe not in the AFC. Best player in the NFL last year. I'm going to say best quarterback in the division this year.
Mm-hmm.
Most impactful player anyway. I know a lot of people say he's a running back, trying to play quarterback, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Burrow, even the film that I've seen of him limping around gives me pause.
Yeah.
So people predicting that this is going to be a comeback season for him and everything's going to be, roses this year. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, you got to push off with that foot to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't, the ball's going to come off a little funny. I know he's got T. Higgins, he's got Jamar Chase, but he actually has to get the ball to them.
Getting the ball there is important.
Yeah, it is. So, not going to say Burrow is going to be that good, but I'm going to put him second because Russell's old and Watson sucks. So I'm just going to go again. I'm going to go Lamar, Burrow, Wilson, Watson. Watson is not good. And I'm not saying that Russell Wilson is going to be the Russell Wilson of old. He's not. But if he can be the 16th best quarterback in the NFL this year, it'll be leaps and bounds beyond what we've seen for the last 2 years out of the Steelers offense, at quarterback especially.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I'm fine with it.
And welcome in, Charlie. We are glad that we are making
Hello, Charlie.
better. Welcome in. Running back depth. Ben, we'll stay with you. Obviously the Ravens added Derrick Henry. The Bengals saw Joe Mixon leave. The Steelers have added Cordero Patterson. I mean, what do you think? Who's got the best overall depth there, or best player maybe that'll see the most touches?
I think Cordero Patterson is going to play more at running back than we think he is.
Yeah.
1, 2, because he knows Arthur Smith's scheme. He knows all of that. I think Jaylen Warren fits it very well. Najee is going to do what he does this year. We'll see. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a 3-headed thing this year, which is going to be weird. But, it's fine. Whatever. Patterson obviously plays special teams as a returner, so he'll get a hat every week anyway. May as well go ahead and use him while you can. Pretty solid. I don't know if Chubb is going to come back 100%. I've seen some training videos with him working.
Oh, yeah. He's working.
He's working at getting his game back. It didn't look to me like his balance was there. I mean, that was the thing about the dude. It was so hard to get down.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, man. It's June. But he was so hard to get down.
July.
No, it is July now. You're right. But the videos I saw were June. He's so hard to get down because his balance was so great. And his base was so great because his legs were so fucking strong that it was just difficult to take the dude down. I mean, it was just impossible, right? So I don't know if he can be that dominant guy he was before and come back from what really was, I'm sorry, a catastrophic injury. And it's his second one.
Second one.
Can the dude come back from that? I hope he can. I'm not gonna lie. Even though he's a Cleveland fucking Brown, I hope he can. Because what happened there, I think it was a freak thing, but it's not fair. It's just that's not fair.
I think
I'm glad the Browns are bringing him back for a year and giving him a shot, but I'm not going to say Chubb is the guy. The Ravens are going to be badass on the ground just like they always are. And the Browns are going to be, I'm sorry, the Browns, the other Browns, the Paul Browns in Cincinnati.
Paul Browns
are going to be, they'll be okay in the run game. They're the fourth best team. I'm going to say Ravens Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals.
Okay.
Probably.
Scarps, your running back depth power rankings, if you will.
Man, and I'm not saying this is hyperbole, but like I really do think the AFC North is the best division. It's the most competitive.
It is.
And there's obviously a reason why they all scheduled these AFC North games late in the season. They got the hard knocks. And this is a really tough question because there are a lot of good running backs in this division, but I got to go with the guy that's proven, Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
Lamar is a threat. Justice Hill still with the Ravens. So Ravens won. I want to put the Steelers too, but I'm a little hesitant only because I think we're going to run the ball a million times, and I think it's going to be such a hodgepodge of who's running it that I don't think people are going to be scared of our running game. But I'm going to
we're going to have to prove you should be scared of it.
So I will put Ravens 1, Browns, Steelers tied at 2, and then I'll put Cincinnati last. But I will say that I think that Zach Moss for the Bengals is a very good addition. I think he's just as good as Joe Mixon, if not maybe a little bit better. And they already got a couple guys that have been there for a couple years that are proven.
Yep.
But I hate rock fights, and I hate the running.
Get ready for them, buddy, because they're coming.
The problem in Cincinnati, if I can just interject real quickly, is they're going to be throwing the ball a lot because their defense sucks.
Yeah.
See, so I don't think their defense sucks. I think they were hurt last year. I think on paper, I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. On paper, I think the Ravens have the worst defense on paper.
Well, they don't have the best one in the division, but they've got a respectable one.
Okay, hold on. Let me fight my battle later. But on paper, take a look.
Right, we'll look at it.
Well, hold on. Well, what's the status of Hendrickson? Didn't he want traded out?
He did, but they're not trading him because it's Paul Brown.
All right. All right, Ian, I want to get your take on the running backs.
Yeah, and
hey, Ian, what the fuck, dude? I thought we were like on each other's side. I'll remember that. I root for the North.
I fully remember Scarps being like, the Bengals are great. They're so much fun to watch. I love this Bengals team. Maybe not love, but yeah.
Love to watch.
I root for the North. I don't give a shit.
At any rate,
he's Jon Snow. He roots for the North.
Yeah,
good
reference.
That was bullshit, though. Ian's right.
Yeah, I'm giving Scarps a hard time for being a closet Bengals fan. It's all good. Just for the people who are listening
Ian
to
said
the show
Bengals
later,
for the record because he's been drinking. So he
Susanna Hoffs, wherever you are.
I've had some. We've had some drinks. It's really hard to analyze running backs without considering the offensive lines in front of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But as a pure running back, Nick Chubb is the best one in the division if he's fully healthy, but he's coming back from that injury. Derrick Henry's getting old, but can still be very effective. He's had some injuries over the last few years too. I agree with what Scarp said about Zach Moss. Moss was really good filling in for Taylor last year in Indianapolis.
Yes, he was.
He was highly effective. That said, as far as a tandem goes, I mean, I think Jaylen Warren might be the third best running back in the division. So our number 2 guy, I would put him behind Chubb and Henry is probably the third best. But how many carries does he actually get? So if I'm going team by team,
okay,
I think I'd probably put. I'd probably put the Browns first just because of, Chubb was injured last year and they were able to plug in 6 different guys and still be effective on the ground, right? They have a really good line in front of them too. So I'd probably put the Browns first. Ravens and Steelers like tied for second, and then the Bengals third, because I don't think the Bengals offensive line's all that good.
Fair.
Like Zach Moss is probably better than Najee Harris. Like if I was ranking them, I'd probably go Chubb, Henry, Warren, Moss,
That's very
Harris.
hurtful.
Oh, see,
very
we just
hurtful.
became best friends again. This is
Oh,
amazing.
look, it's like a kindergarten class. Best
But-
friends, enemies, enemies, best friends.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm trying to rank groups here. So I think
Right.
the Bengals have the worst line. That said, for the fantasy football players out there, given that the Bengals have Chase and probably Higgins on the outside, Zach Moss is going to see a lot of light boxes, and Joe Mixon benefited from that the last few years. So, yes,
Yeah.
Scarps, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But like safeties aren't going to come down because the safeties are going to have to stay deep over those two receivers. So, last year Najee Harris complained about having to run into 9-man boxes because everyone was like, "Oh, we know they're fucking running the ball this time. Allen Robinson's coming in motion. This is the same play they run 30 times a game."
Allen
It's
Robinson
like,
coming into motion was a tip.
Yeah.
There was a pattern that offense ran with constantly.
They put Boykin in the game. They're definitely running the ball this
if
time.
Boykin's in, especially if
Where did he
Boykin's
go?
in the fucking slot, you're
Yeah.
you're 100% running the ball. It's a run play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculously
Where did
predictable.
Boykin go?
Matt Canada's
Giants, I think.
offense sucks donkey
So
balls.
Robinson and Boykin went to the Giants.
I don't know that
I'm
Boykin
not thinking
Boykin
that.
leaving kind of sucks in my opinion.
Yeah, I was a
He
little
was a good
surprised by
special
that.
teamer.
He was a
At
good
any
special
rate,
teamer.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna.
Hey, we
I'm
got
gonna go ahead.
Denzel Mims. So no, actually,
No,
they
we
cut
didn't.
him.
We
No, we
cut
cut
They
him.
cut him. Yeah.
Go ahead and give that to Baltimore. Scarps wide receiver groupings. I'm just going to go ahead and put the Steelers fourth. Should I do that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
Bengals first.
Bengals
The
1,
Bengals first.
Yeah.
Browns 2, Ravens 3, Steelers 4.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
Yeah.
But hold on a minute here.
Oh,
Actually,
here we go.
because
Actually-
all right, Bengals
Go
definitely
ahead.
first with Chase and Higgins, without a doubt. But like looking at the other ones, the Ravens have Zay Flowers, and then like Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar, who couldn't catch a baby falling out of a window. The Ravens have one good guy in Zay Flowers and some question marks. The Browns have Amari Cooper and then some question marks. Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. I don't know.
Would you not take either one of those guys right now instead of Van Jefferson?
Well, hold on.
yes.
The Steelers
I would take all of them.
The Steelers have George Pickens and then some question marks. So it's, I mean,
The Steelers have got the best collection of number 5 and number 6 wide receivers.
Nobody has
Yeah.
slots like the Steelers.
Nobody has slots. That's true.
there's an
Slots
old
I got
Seinfeld.
more than the casino
Yeah.
across the parking lot.
There's an old Seinfeld joke that if the black box is the only thing that survives
Right.
the airplane crash, why don't they build the whole plane out of the black box? Well, the Steelers are like, well, why don't we build the whole offense out of slot receivers?
Yeah.
But at any rate, so each of these teams, right? The Ravens have Flowers, the Browns have Cooper, the Steelers have Pickens. Okay, they have acceptable number ones, but everybody's got questions beyond that. So I
No
can't
argument.
definitively say that the Bengals are the clear number one here, but
Yeah.
other than that, I can't definitively say
Can-
anyone else is
So
tied for. I'd put them all tied for second.
So-
I guess.
what if
So you think the Steelers are as good as the fucking Browns and the Ravens? I know.
At wide receiver, alone,
no.
we're not considering tight ends. We're not considering
let
running
the
I
backs.
hate
understand.
flow through
Okay.
you?
I'm just gonna no. Fuck no.
Well done, Scarps. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put Cincinnati top receiving group
How about
there.
okay?
I mean,
Would it- That's fine.
You've got Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Jerry Jeudy in fucking Cleveland. So you're basically saying those 3 guys don't put our wide receivers to shame. They do all by themselves to begin with.
Elijah
I'm-
Moore was one of those guys who was highly hyped in the draft, but what's he hasn't
Elijah
done it.
Moore is not great. He's a slot receiver. Who gives a shit? But he's better than our slot receivers.
I guess.
by a
I mean,
mile.
All of them.
Jerry Jeudy got benched in Denver last year, although
I
so
know,
did
'cause
Russell
he's a
Wilson.
dick.
So there we go.
All All right,
He's a
moving on to
dick.
tight ends.
All right.
We should just make
let's
this
see here.
eligibles only.
Eligibles, right? Ben, what do you got? Who's got the best tight end group?
The Rats, and then the Browns, and then the Steelers and the Bungholes are probably tied for third. I mean,
oh no, the Steelers are fucking fourth on that list.
Do you think so?
The Bengals,
I don't know.
did add Mike Gesicki, whatever. But they don't have much more than that.
I mean,
obviously, we know what the Ravens have.
Yeah,
the Rats have got a really good tight end group, and the Browns have got a pretty good tight end group. They really do, and the Steelers don't, and the Bengals are, I think, better than Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with us fourth.
Real quick before we move on to offensive line, does anybody think Michael Pruitt makes the roster?
Yes.
If his last name was Heyward, yes.
Wow.
What a dick. No, I think he makes the roster.
What did I say?
Shit, no, it's
because he knows Arthur Smith. He's got all that familiarity with the scheme. He is a good blocker. The tight ends are the linchpin of the Arthur Smith offense. I mean, other than the quarterback, obviously.
Okay, so I know I'm veering off the subject a little bit here, but okay, you got Darnell Washington, you got Pat Freiermuth, and then of course we got Rodney Williams. You got that Hayward kid.
I mean,
we're not Hayward 5, are we?
Hayward's going to play more H-back and a little fullback this year.
Rodney Williams isn't on the roster.
He was.
He was, yeah.
I'm not seeing him anywhere.
No, all right.
What the hell? That must have been. Huh.
God.
Well, I've got Baltimore down for top tight ends. Offensive line. Ian, who do you think has the best offensive line unit in the AFC North?
Oh, man. So just real quick on tight ends. I agree. Rats first. Like, if Freiermuth can stay healthy for a whole year, which is a massive if.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually pretty good. Like, I would have him comparable with David Njoku if he can stay healthy.
I like
he can't block. Njoku can block.
Vinny's point is spot on.
Njoku can fucking block. And not only can Njoku block, he can block on the run.
Yeah.
Which is what you need to be able to do as a tight end.
And Njoku, by the way, I didn't think he would develop as well as he has.
No, and he has, but Freiermuth, God bless him, he tries, but he cannot fucking block anyone to save his goddamn life.
Well, good news is we can bring Zach Gentry back now. Who is a solid blocker.
You guys know. You guys know full well that if Art caught wind,
I don't care.
If Art caught wind of that rumor and there's any truth to it at all, that Gentry is never playing in Pittsburgh again.
I know.
Looks like we're on to Cincinnati, right? Right, Zach?
Yeah. All right.
Offensive line group.
Offensive line. All right.
I'm buzzed.
I think we've had some drinks.
We've had some drinks.
We have had some
people
drinks.
Are here.
All right. Can I separate this? Because I think the Browns have I think the Browns have the best interior line, but the Ravens have the best tackles.
All right, that's fair.
Okay, unfortunately,
that's a whole lot of bullshit.
I do not have on my list best guards and tackles
overall. All right,
offensive line.
All right, I'll say the Browns have the best line, but like I do not trust Jedrick Wills at all.
I agree with you, Ian. I'm just saying,
left tackle for the Browns, and like
I think it's fantastic that he's playing there at left tackle and going to be the starter, though.
Yeah, and Jack Conklin is their other tackle. Like I don't like the Browns tackles at all. But then you go inside and the Browns have Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller, who are two Pro Bowlers at guard. And I'm like, well, shit, their interior is really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
So for as bad as they are at tackle, they're really good at guard. And and the Ravens have Linderbaum at center, who I really like, and I
Yeah,
wish
for
the
sure.
Steelers would have drafted.
He's a stud.
But like their guards are Voorhees and Ben Cleveland, who I don't love. But then at tackle, I mean, Ronnie Stanley is the best offensive lineman in the division.
He's
The
pretty
thing
good.
the thing the Ravens tend to do, and I like it, is they space things so that their guards get a lot of one-on-ones, or they do combo blocks by the end of the year.
Dan Moore walked so we could run.
Pulling a shoe.
Or Chooks walked so Dan Moore.
Vinny, that's great.
And
Chooks
know,
walked
like
so
the
Dan Moore could run.
this offense sucks.
all right, I'll throw Ben a softball underhand, a slow pitch softball. One
An
here.
Ephus pitch.
Yeah. That the Steelers offensive line has a lot of potential,
Absolutely.
but
It's the French word for haven't done anything yet. Is that what we're saying?
exactly, there we go.
Yeah, no, the Steelers, I would put them third right now. I mean, they're not, they're not the Bengals offensive line, which sucks donkey balls, but they haven't done anything yet. There's a whole lot of talent that hasn't done anything yet.
Agreed.
And there are lots of expectations, but expectations and results are two different things.
That's exactly it. And they need time to gel together, right? Like we've seen this time and time again with offensive lines. Like you just got to get reps together. You got to get used to playing next to the guy. Broderick Jones spent last year at right tackle, playing next to a guard that's going to be 3 guys away from him this year when he moves back to left tackle.
Yeah.
So you just got to get used to the communication with the guy next to you.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that they're playing Broderick at left and Fatano at right and all that. And honestly, I think like by the end of the year or maybe by like the beginning of next year, the Steelers could have the best offensive line in the division.
Yeah.
But right now, you're banking on a second-year guy who's played 1 game at left tackle and then a rookie at right tackle and probably a rookie at center too. So, I mean, there's just a lot of unknowns here for the Steelers right now.
Yeah.
That they're just going to need time, and the quality of the line at the beginning of the year is not going to be the quality at the end of the year.
And that one game at left tackle that Jones played, they simplified the blocking scheme so that he got a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And when you get a lot of one-on-ones as an offensive lineman, it's easier. It just is. You're not looking at
thinking out.
You're not trying to block this dude, but also watch the gap on either side of you. Like he's gonna have to pick up his game. It's not going to be as easy. It's going to require more effort.
So we've got Cleveland. Is that our overall pick for best offensive line unit right now?
Yeah, and then the Rats.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers, and then the Bengals, who are their offensive line's not good.
Yeah, I would say that the Steelers and Bengals are tied. I would take Orlando Brown Jr. over Broderick Jones
over Dan Moore,
or Dan Moore, and then
you
Trent Brown. Would you not take Zeus Brown over those guys right now? Oh, fucking
no!
Get real, man. Trent.
No, I'm serious.
I take Trent Brown over those guys right now.
Nope.
Oh, Jesus!
Dude, no, dude.
Take Trent Reznor over those.
Orlando Brown is not good, and he's not going to get better because he's on the downside already. So whatever you saw last year,
he's like a 6-year player.
That dude peaked early, and he's not good.
We're arguing over the last kid picked here at Kickball. Defensive line, Scarps. Who do you think's got the best defensive line in the AFC North? We're talking obviously interior stuff. If you're
this is going to offend.
Where are we going?
Defensive line. So we're talking ends and DTs.
I'm going to tell you who has the worst. Let's make it easier. I'm going to tell you who has the worst defensive line in the AFC North.
Uh-oh.
And it's the black and gold.
Oh.
I am the most optimistic I've ever been about a Steelers season in a long time.
Liar.
On paper, fine. On paper, look at the depth chart on paper
It's my biggest
and
concern.
and,
It
and
is.
look at the AFC North teams. The Steelers by far have the weakest defensive line and defensive line depth. You
Okay.
are drinking the Kool-Aid massively if you don't see that.
I'm not arguing.
I haven't looked
Because
at their at comparatively. I do not dislike the Steelers' defensive line depth at all this year. I think it's going to be okay because they signed Dean Lowry. That's
a very stable veteran, but
Holy fuck.
Yep, which stabilizes that group. But that being the case, having Keanu Benton ready to jump in there, come in when Larry O or Cam cannot do what they need to do and be the guy, which he's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This year, I expect a big fucking year out of that guy.
He has to.
I don't disagree.
I'm expecting a big year out of him.
And you're right.
Basically,
you're
he's going to be a third starter, which is a huge deal for us this year. So I don't think we have the worst defensive line group. I don't think we have the best defensive line group. I'm not trying to say that, but I don't think it's that bad yet.
So who's worse?
Well, let's see. We got the Browns, and they got Zadarius. No,
Keep
Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris for the Browns.
Tomlinson, Shelby Harris,
Browns
and
are
Myles
solid.
Garrett. Myles Garrett doesn't suck. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Well, wait. Are we doing edge rusher separately? This is just like
no. We're doing defensive line.
Defensive line. So if you play a 4-man line,
that's a line.
Then that's D line. For the Steelers case, we're talking typically 3 or 2.
Yeah, 2.
Because when they're a nickel, they just got 2 down guys.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a good point about nickel.
Not always,
because
so I'm going to go with the Browns as number 1. Yeah. The Browns. And then we got the Rats. You got
Matabuke,
Roderick Washington, Michael Pierce, Matabuke, who's kind of good. And that's it. And they play that hybrid.
It's almost as if the Steelers have the worst defensive line in the 34.
I mean, Broderick Washington and Michael Pierce ain't that great. Sorry. Matabuke is fucking good.
Cam Heyward tweets me and says Scarp's talking shit on the Steel City Blitz podcast. Receipts.
Good.
Hey, Vinny brings up a good point. I think people forget that Cleveland went into Houston, and I do believe Cleveland was favored in that game and just got
other than Hendrickson, who the fuck do the Bengals have? They got Sheldon Rankins, BJ Hill, and Sam Hubbard.
Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. So
Hendrickson's fucking good.
Yeah.
Sam Hubbard's good too. What the fuck are you talking about?
Sam Hubbard's
okay.
Right now? Ian, please.
Yeah. So the one thing I want to say though, like, let's think back to the beginning of, oh fuck, I just lost his name. The kid we drafted from South Carolina, Javon Hargrave. Beginning of Javon Hargrave's career.
Hargrave.
Yes.
Damn it.
We were convinced.
Wanted to keep that guy.
We were all so convinced he could be such a multifaceted player, but they would not put him on the field in nickel packages. Like, they just wouldn't, because they were like, you're going to learn nose tackle and play nose tackle first, and then you'll figure out this nickel stuff. And it wasn't until his last year here that he finally got on the field in nickel packages. And we were like, we were saying this all along. He can do this. He's good at this. So I think they have Cam Heyward and Larry Ogunjobi, but can Keanu Benton get on the field in nickel packages is one of the big questions for me. Because honestly, I think
really good question.
I think Benton's first step and ability to get upfield could really cause some problems in a 2-man front. Like, because people will spread us out in nickel and then run the ball too. Like, I would play Benton in nickel no problem, But will the Steelers play him in nickel?
Well, they might have
I
to.
don't know. Yeah.
Just
But
simply because of Heyward and Ogunjobi.
Yeah, when I think those guys have always been, at least last year, both of them were better on a pitch count.
I think Hayward's going to be on a pitch count this year.
Yeah.
I
exactly
really do.
what I'm talking about.
I think that Larry O is maybe not going to be on a pitch count, but he's going to miss an awful lot of practices, just like he did last year.
Yeah.
So Hayward's on a pitch count. He wants an extension.
Yep.
He wants to be paid what he's worth. Cam, if you're watching, I know you're watching. I love you. Just saying. This is a business.
So I'm going to go. I think the consensus is Cleveland across the defensive front. If we're talking,
if we're including edge rushers, yes.
I would say Cleveland, Rats, Steelers, Browns.
Okay.
Excuse me. I said Cleveland. Yeah. Bengals fourth.
Yeah.
Bengals fourth. That's me. I don't know about you guys.
So linebackers.
Oh.
I see.
Now this is where it gets confusing.
Do you want to split these up? Do you want to do outside versus?
We should do interior linemen, edge rushers, and then inside the line.
It's 11:15 already.
What we should do.
Sharps has got to work tomorrow.
What we should have done to begin with is instead of saying defensive line, we should have said defensive front.
Yeah. All right.
So what happens when Mink is in the box?
Yeah, what about when Minka's blitzing?
All right, so outside linebackers.
I'll go last.
Yeah,
All right. Well, outside linebackers, the Steelers are a clear number one.
I think so too.
Because technically the Browns in a 4-3 scheme, Myles Garrett we counted on the defensive line, so now you're counting Devin Bush as one of the Browns outside linebackers, which is hilarious. So
wait, is he an outside linebacker there?
Yeah,
they're playing.
I thought he was the middle guy again. No, he's playing weak side.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I gotta check the.
Yeah, they got Jordan Hicks in the middle, is what I've got. At any rate, so if we're talking just outside linebackers, Steelers are clear number one here.
Yeah.
Without
Highsmith, I think you throw in Herbig having
Jordan
a really
Hicks,
nice rookie season.
No, they have Devin Bush at strong.
Yeah.
You got to be shitting me. Why? The dude runs around blocks.
I don't know. I think that's a clear-cut favorite there. What about the interior, the off-ball linebackers?
I mean, it's hard to pick against Roquan Smith, but
yeah,
Logan Wilson's pretty good. I would put the Browns a clear fourth here.
Okay.
Queen and Roberts is a good. It's hard to go tandems against one guy, right?
Right.
So you got Queen and Roberts for the Steelers as a tandem versus Logan Wilson for the Bengals versus Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson for the Ratbirds. Roquan Smith is probably the best linebacker in the division overall, but as a tandem with Trenton Simpson, but as a tandem with Simpson, I don't know if that tandem is better than Queen and Roberts versus Logan Wilson, who's good, not great, but good.
Well, how much of
a clear fourth here, though?
How much of a fall off is obviously Queen leaving Baltimore for Pittsburgh, and now they're going to slide Simpson in there?
Yeah,
they like Simpson.
No, I'm sure they do. And I like him. I think he's a great player, but I don't know that.
Pretty good player. I wouldn't say great.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is
Roquan Smith's a great player.
Yeah. I'll go Rats first. Steelers a close second. Bengals a close third. And then Browns are way down the line here.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay.
In what?
Rats.
Inside backers.
Inside linebackers.
Yeah. Did we say that outside linebacker Steelers are number one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's because of TJ Watt. I think Alex Highsmith is whatever.
Highsmith's pretty good. He's Robin.
He's a good Robin.
He's fine. I don't disagree with that, but obviously
he's Robin. He's not as good as Clark Haggins was, is what I would say.
He's better than Clark Haggins.
Did Clark Haggins
he's not.
Die?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I think Haggins was better when he dropped, but I think overall Highsmith's better.
I think Haggins was better overall than Highsmith. I think that Highsmith, when he drops, he's pretty fucking good. It's just Haggins was a little more consistent. You know the thing I liked about Haggins was he had a really good bull rush from that side. Like he could create pressure with the offensive tackle, which is something I don't see Alex doing ever.
I don't know, man. Inside linebacker's tough. I don't really want to give a nod to any team in particular. I think here's what I'll say about inside linebacker. I think every team in this division has quality inside linebackers,
except the Browns.
What do you mean, though?
I mean, Devin Bush just sucks, and who's their other guy?
Devin Bush doesn't play for the Browns.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
Jordan
well,
Hicks,
he's not
Devin
starting.
Bush,
Jordan Hicks, Devin
and
Bush,
JOK.
Yeah, JOK.
Jeremiah
My bad.
Owasu Karamoa.
My bad.
JOK is not bad, but
JOK is a 215-pound linebacker.
yeah, he's a safety play.
he's a
linebacker.
safety.
My bad. I was looking at I was sorry. I was looking at something else. Okay, so Devin Bush. It depends if he's tweeting cat death videos. But okay, so my bad. So the Browns, I think, are the worst, but I think the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals have pretty good inside linebacker tandems that I'd be 1A and 1B.
I mean, if Cole Holcomb were healthy and could back up that group and play, and play a role, I would feel better about it. If Peyton Wilson can
what if Wilson really comes on? I mean,
if Peyton Wilson can be a guy who really solidifies that group on third downs and obvious passing situations and come in and be the dime backer, I mean, they could have a really good group, maybe. But, Ian mentioned this thing before about potential and expectations.
I agree.
And we haven't seen shit. So not going to make any predictions about that yet.
No.
You know what scares me the most about Peyton Wilson?
That he can't stay healthy?
No, it's Terrell Austin.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Brian's coming in strong tonight.
You're not wrong.
I don't
I mean, I want to argue with you, but
I can't.
I can't really argue that point.
Cornerbacks as a group. Anyone?
Bronze.
I would say Cleveland's probably got an edge here.
Number one, I would say.
Corners only. Not
I would
safety.
say
Just
Steelers.
Just corners.
Yep.
Are third. I would say. So I'm gonna go Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Bungles.
Okay.
It's.
I mean.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would. I don't disagree. I think that. Yeah, I don't disagree.
I do think the
very
Steelers.
close.
The Steelers are in major trouble if Jackson doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I think we're in serious trouble.
Yeah. I think though that Jackson as a former number one corner in Carolina will fill in quite adequately as a number two in Pittsburgh.
It's a good statement. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my take anyway. They like to put JPJ on an island. Usually he's successful. He's going to have some penalties. He's going to have some fuck ups. That's going to happen. As a number two corner, you're going to get a little bit of help. On top of that, Minka's playing free safety again, which is going to help the whole defensive backfield, not just from a getting set standpoint, but the fact that he's going to realize where the ball is going and he's going there.
Yeah.
So if you're a corner, that really fucking helps a lot. So Jackson's playing with a huge advantage this year over last.
So I think we all agree Cleveland overall at the corners.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Denzel Ward's probably the best corner in the division, and Greg Newsome's pretty good. I mean, the Ratbirds have Marlon Humphrey still, who's
they still do,
who's darn good.
Actually still pretty good.
Yeah,
He
then-
battles
and then
injuries, man, but he
Nate
just seems
Wiggins.
to make plays.
and they drafted Nate Wiggins, who
They did.
we talked a lot about. Yeah, I guess it kind of. Yeah, I probably the Browns with Ward and Newsome. I mean, Newsome plays mostly slot, but still, he's. I mean, you're in nickel 75% or more of the time, so you know
So-
Newsome's going to get 80% of the snaps in
Yeah.
a game because you're in dime sometimes
Yeah,
too.
the
So,
thing with
yeah.
Newsome is that he makes a lot of tackles in the run game, man.
Yeah,
He's a really good slot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
fuck, man, his value cannot be understated.
yeah. Well, that's like I feel like the Bengals with Mike Hilton in the slot might have the worst outside corners in the league, but if we're talking about all their corners, you got to consider Hilton in the slot. And I'm like, well, they're not bad either,
Right.
because he's like, yeah.
I don't know.
And we did sign Cam Sutton, and if Cam Sutton can go back to being Steelers Cam Sutton, like let's
His
not-
issue is going to come down to suspension. How long is he
Yeah.
out?
yeah, and yeah. So
Mhm.
what if Cam Sutton can be slot corner Cam Sutton,
Right.
and not have to go run 30 yards down the field with guys,
Right.
he might not be that bad. So yeah,
How many playoff
I mean,
games did Cam Sutton win as a
you know,
Steeler?
let's talk about Cam Sutton again. At the end of
Man.
September, when we've seen him on first and second down trying to defend the run, and
Yeah,
he's
that's fair.
not been
Mhm.
good because he's not
Well-
a guy who takes on blockers or who tackles real well.
none of our corners can defend the run. I mean, Joey Porter Jr. is not a good tackler.
He tries, but he's
He
not.
tries.
Are you kidding
he's not
me?
good.
Yeah, but
the
he's
fifth
willing.
best cornerback according to him.
He's
I
top. He's
I
top
don't
five.
give a shit.
Scarf.
I
He's top
don't
five.
care anymore. I'm like Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes. I don't
You're
care.
super
anymore.
angry, Scarps.
What
Super
about
angry.
safety position?
Steelers have the worst cornerbacks in the division.
I have moved on to
Safeties.
safety, young man.
We have
Safety.
the worst. No, the worst of the Bungles.
No.
No, the Browns are the worst safeties. Steelers have the best.
No,
No,
he
he
said
said
worst
corners.
cornerback.
Oh, corners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, corners. Yeah. Yeah.
I've moved
The
on to
Browns have the
safeties.
worst. I'm sorry, the Bengals have the worst corners in our
No,
division.
they don't. I'll move on to safeties though now. The
What?
the
So Cam Taylor Britt and
he was
PJ
really good
Turner
before he got hurt last year.
are really good. Okay, sure. All right, whatever.
Hey man,
I'm
I
gonna go
watched
with
the
no.
tape.
Yeah. You watch the tape, man.
Well, you've got Minka.
Let's move
and
on to
Deshaun
safeties.
Elliott.
I
We
was
have.
moving on
We
until
have.
Ben interrupted me.
Minka and Deshaun Elliott is a pretty good tandem, I think.
Minka's really good.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that Deshaun Elliott is super adequate.
Yeah.
I think Deshaun Elliott can be even better than that if Minka is allowed to just play where Minka plays best. Then I think Elliott can be better. But if Minka has to come down,
No, Deshaun Elliott's going to have to cover running backs and tight ends, and he's not that dude. I'm going to be straight with you.
Yeah,
he's
but
not that
he's
guy.
better than KZ is.
Probably. And
I
he
mean-
won't get as many penalties for hitting guys in the head.
Well, that is important because the next one KZ gets could be a season.
KZ will be suspended this year.
Oh, I'm sure.
100%. For sure. Trenton Thompson's coming back to fill in for KZ later.
They
They should just put him
Baltimore,
on the practice squad now.
the Hamilton kid in Baltimore has been better than I thought he would be. Kudos to him. He's been really good.
Hamilton?
Wait.
The
Hold
dude
on.
was a stud when he came out.
No, I'm not saying he
Hamilton
wasn't a
was our
stud. I just didn't know how good he would be, and he's been very, very good.
I was
Kyle
hoping the Steelers
Hamilton was
would
our
draft
number
him.
one ranked player on our draft board that year.
Yeah, the dude was a stud.
Yeah. So but the Ravens have Marcus Williams and
Yep.
Kyle Hamilton.
Yep.
The Bengals have Geno Stone and Von Bell. We've got Minka and Elliott, and the Browns have Grant Delpit and Juwan Thornhill. And nothing against what the Browns have, but they are the worst in this division. The other three are pretty good tandems at safety, all things told. I mean,
How would you rank them though?
Right. I would
Who's your
go.
top?
I'd go Steelers first, Ravens a close second, Bengals a close third.
Wow.
Ooh. Scarps, what do you think?
Wow. I wouldn't go Steelers first. I'd go Steelers second, but I'd go Rats. Rats first.
Go ahead, keep going.
Rats first, Steelers.
Good. Right now we've got one saying Pittsburgh, one saying Rats. I need your take, Ryan Scarpino.
No pressure.
You're the deciding vote, Ryan. Go ahead.
He is right now. I mean, I know where I'm going.
Be hateful about it, Ryan.
So like I look at this and it's like, you know, Minka is a free safety, Kyle Hamilton is a strong safety, and like they're both really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And here's where I'm going to go Ravens first, and the reason I say that is because the Ravens collectively as a unit have been better than the Steelers for a long time now, and we need to change that shit. We need to change this shit. We can't have Minka coming down on the box and make 130 tackles a season, and
please,
you
God.
know, and I just, you know, I know they talk about, you know, getting Minka back to playing Minka ball, but what happens when he can't do that because the D line sucks or there's injuries or whatever. So.
All right. Last topic is specialists. And I'm talking in this particular area, I'm talking about punter and kicker. Punter and kicker. That's what I'm talking about here. I think
I'll go first.
Well, you always start with Justin Tucker, right?
Right. Well, one last point. I am wearing my Minka Mania shirt tonight, so
that's it. Pushes it over. No.
Yeah. A little biased.
All right.
Go check it out on DC4LTs. At any rate, specialist, yes, okay. Punter and kicker. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I gotta go Ratbirds first because of Tucker, but Jordan Stout was really good. He has been really good. Bless you.
After Ben was like, it's rude to burp on the show, and then he's like,
sorry.
Like Barney in the most
so I got Ravens. I got Ravens 1. I got Browns 4. And then I got the Bengals and Steelers tied at 2 for second.
Okay.
Because Evan McPherson's been really good, and so has Boz, obviously. But the punter to me is interesting because Cam, Bill Burr has not really punted much outdoors.
That's a good point.
But Brad Robbins has had a solid rookie year last year, replacing Kevin Huber, who was a staple in Cincinnati forever.
Long time punter.
He had a good net, had a good overall punting average. So, yeah.
I think you can. This might be one of the most tightly contested areas. I mean, because you can make arguments here. You know, obviously Tucker, Boz, McPherson.
I'd agree with Ryan. I'd go Ravens 1.
Yeah.
I'd put the Steelers slightly ahead of the Bengals, but yeah, I'd go Steelers 2, Bengals 3, Browns 4.
Yeah.
Browns are a distant fourth here.
The Browns specialists are not good, that bodes well for us in terms of field position, in my opinion.
So,
the kickoff thing, who the fuck knows? I think we can throw that out the window because
we don't know.
Who knows?
No. Based on this, we can tell our audience that the Ravens will win the division, so you don't even need to bother watching the NFL in 2024.
Probably will, yeah.
But that's why we watch the games, because paper doesn't mean squat at the end of the day.
Okay, but the Ravens probably will win the division. You know this.
I mean, they should.
The Steelers probably won't. They might. You never know. It's possible, maybe.
Well, look, we can't predict injuries, and injuries are going to happen.
So what you're trying to say is that attrition is a part of the game.
Just a little. Is Casey Kasem on deck?
We're only 90 minutes in and we're having Casey.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We covered 2 topics tonight, by the way. It's
all right. It's been fun.
No, it has been fun. They were 2 really good topics because we talked about
we should
pass rushers and pressure, and then we talked about depth charts. This was good.
We should drink. We should pre-drink before the show more often, I think.
Cheers, Ben.
Pretty
I
fun.
agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Casey Kasem.
Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was July 2nd, 1970. Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us again this week, and he writes, Dear Casey, good morning, America. How are you? I said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. A little Arlo Guthrie for you, Casey, as America celebrates its 248th birthday, or as I like to call it, hey, England, check the scoreboard, you pretentious pieces of monkey trash. A happy 4th of July to all listeners, especially Jason Pierre-Paul, who I'm told always has a blast.
Wow.
Casey, I'd also like to wish your American Top 40 program a happy birthday. What the audience may not know is that the first ever American Top 40 took place on July 4th, 1970. So, American Top 40 turns 54 on Thursday. Speaking of 54, Casey, do you remember that night back in 1978 at Studio 54 when you, Dom DeLuise, Liza Minnelli, Tennessee Williams, and David Bowie snorted more cocaine in one sitting than the United States brought in from Colombia last year? Casey, speaking of the United States, as we're waiting for football to begin, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other football. And I'm not talking about the time me, Joe Green, kicked that Cleveland Browns player right in the cubes. I'm talking about soccer. I'm sure you've heard by now that the U.S. men's national team failed to win a playoff game for the 7th straight season. Excuse me, Casey, I misspoke. They failed to make it out of the group stages of the Copa America, which is not a Barry Manilow song. But much like the Steelers, I hear the men's national team is working on signing head coach Greg Berhalter to another contract extension because players love to play for him, and who else are we going to get? Casey, the Steelers and the U.S. men's national team have been very similar over the past 15 years. They keep things interesting up to a certain point through rock fights, but at the end of the day, they're always outclassed by better opponents. They always have one superstar, a few decent to good players, and the rest are a bunch of scrubs that lack fundamentals and care more about their own brand than the logo they represent. Casey, what happens sooner? The U.S. men's national team makes it to the semifinals of the World Cup, or the Steelers win a playoff game? I have a bad feeling we'll be waiting until 2026 to find out.
Oh.
Maybe by then, Tomlin will have signed his lifetime contract. Casey, for the love of God, bring me out of my misery and fire up Mississippi Queen by Mountain. Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars and keep your dial tuned right where it is. Here's Mountain up 3 spots this week back in 1970 to number 23. Happy 4th to all our listeners.
That's fantastic. Mississippi Queen, highly underrated song, man.
That's a fantastic song.
That was a great song.
Yeah. Tremendous. Thanks everybody for hanging with us for 93 minutes tonight. It's the middle of freaking off season. We're doing 90 minutes. It's unbelievable. Make sure you check out the site, steelcityblitz.com. If you do want any of the SCB swag, by the way, you can go to DC4L. That's DC, the number 4L, customtees.com. I already put it in the chat there. And we got plenty of stuff there. Plus, we'll be updating some stuff there as well with some newer logos and everything. But most importantly, thanks so much for being here. Make sure you check out socials as well. And everybody have a great 4th of July.
Stay safe. Don't burn your fingers off.
Don't blow appendages off.
Don't be like
Please.
Jason Pierre.
Yeah, no JPPs out there. Enjoy your beverages and time away and all that good stuff. But for God's sakes, keep all of your appendages. All right. Thanks so much. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.
Screw England.